Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
All right, so I've been working with a variety of kids. And they've got all kinds of interesting issues that have brought them, into counseling.
Okay.
And it's got me thinking, and I know that we deal with this a lot in the classroom with a variety of kids that struggle with appropriateness and ability to, how shall we say, control their emotions. True or false?
I mean, of course. I mean, kids, adults, everybody has problems with that.
Well, that's true. That is true. All you got to do is read any news article, and a lot of times it's about one person getting pissed at another, whether it's a road rage incident or something like that. But here's the thing. When we're raising our kids, and you've successfully raised 3, we teach them the basics, such as learning their ABCs.
Yep.
We teach them how to tie their shoes. All right. But how much do we really invest in teaching our children how to handle their big emotions? Frustration, sadness, anger, fear, excitement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, part of me goes, that's what I think is great about sending your kids to preschool and like mommy's day out kind of daycares once in a while, because if kids have to play with other kids...
Yeah, I mean, definitely socialization is involved, right? And so you have to be interacting with others to be able to realize those emotions and then learn to deal with them.
Exactly. And so I wonder, again, thinking back to the kids that came through our classroom, and, with some of the kids that I work with, how much investment did mom or dad make when teaching their kids how to handle their emotions? And then I sometimes wonder, do mom and dad not have good emotional regulation themselves? And so kids are learning by watching mom and dad, so they act according to what they see. I don't know. It got me going down a weird rabbit hole.
I mean, I don't think it's weird. I think, as children, we learn from whatever people we are around, particularly adults.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So, I mean, even as children, we know that like adults are the people that we should mimic.
Sure.
More than our friends, maybe, and things like that. Even though we might, as teenagers, we might not want to do that. I think everybody knows that, eventually you're going to be an adult and you have to do things the way that your parents do them, and so however they do those things is what you learn.
Sure.
Right? I mean, when we taught government, we talked about socialization and how family is where you learn everything. And so you end up mimicking those things. So the bad and the good.
And so exactly the good and the bad. And it got me thinking, how well did you and Eileen work on helping your kids deal with, these big emotions of frustration, sadness, anger, fear, or excitement?
I mean, I think that, I don't know that we intentionally, did it. I mean, we were very young parents. And while there's no book on parenting that is really completely valid because everybody's different.
Sure.
There's certain things I think that fit into parenting that are general that you can follow, like having to, teach emotional regulation. But when you're in your early 20s and have young kids, you're probably not thinking of that. I was thinking more about like, I need to get as much money as I can. And we were managing all the exceptions that were coming at us all the time. So I don't know that we intentionally did it, but I think we did do it, right? And
okay.
And I think that's part of that is that we had the ability to manage our emotions. And I don't know that we would have done that outside of, being a part of the adult groups that we were a part of at the time. So we had some, people that we modeled after
Okay.
as well. And I think that's important in all things in life, right? I mean, you know, Star Wars talks about the Jedi and how there's always a master and an apprentice,
True.
right? For the Sith, and you know, there's always master and apprentice for the Jedi. I mean, you've got to have somebody that you look to for guidance, and then somebody is looking to you for that guidance too.
Sure.
And so you've got to, and I think we realized that maybe early,
Okay.
but that's, you know, that's something that we were involved in some groups, and then some adult type groups like church or you know, those kinds of things. And then, you know, we passed some of that on to our kids to try to teach them what we could as fast as we were learning it. Right?
Okay. Okay.
So, you know, I think in a lot of ways it worked out well. And in some ways, you know, we passed on some things that are not great. And now that we're in our 50s, we know these things and we wish we had known them back then. But such is life.
Sure. There, you know, hindsight's always, you know, a lot more clear than when you're going through it in the moment. And so so as I'm exploring this, and it kind of, like I said, it took me down a weird rabbit hole. So I did a little digging and exploration to see if I could come up with, you know, some ideas to,
Sure.
you know, to help our kid as parents, what we can do to help our kids. And one of the things that came out in my investigation is the idea that by doing this, by taking the time, the concerted effort to help our children be able to correctly and appropriately handle these big emotions, you're helping build resilience.
Yes.
And, you know, when we can do this, I mean, I don't think there's very many parents out there that go, man, I want my kid to be an epic failure and a total loser.
Right.
I think quite the opposite. We want them to be successful. We want them to have a good, happy life.
Of course.
And so resilience is, you know, and I've talked about this on multiple occasions about the value that resilience has, because life's going to kick you square in the gut.
Yeah.
It's going to knock you down and beat you down. And so teaching children resilience to handle, you know, frustration or sadness or anger, it gives them the strength and the tools to be able to handle it when it gets even worse.
Which is huge, right? And all things in life that you learn start with like baby steps, right? Like, I mean, you learn to walk by first crawling and then, you know, standing up, and you end up falling down, but you stand up and you do it again, probably cry in between because it's stressful. And finally you learn how to do it, and then it's not a big deal. And then someday you fall and you laugh because it's not a problem, right? And I see the same thing in teenagers, right? Like, so teenagers get really anxious about things that I remember probably being anxious about as a teenager.
Sure.
But then you get a perspective on life because you've learned and you've done things, and you're like, that is like, in a few years you're gonna think that's the most ridiculous thing ever that you were so anxious about. And so learning to deal with it, though, right, like you would with baby steps, I think builds that resilience, because it gets you beyond that thing, and now you don't feel anxious about that kind of a thing anymore. And so then you can deal with a greater issue, right?
Perfect.
I mean, I think of the things that I've gone through in life, and some of the things that I've fretted about in my 20s are nothing, right, compared to what I might have had to deal with in my 40s. And if I didn't deal with them well in my 20s, then I would have been a disaster in my 40s.
You know, the way you say that, I'm glad you do, because here's what I totally agree with.
Yeah.
Well, one, I agree with what you're saying, because if we can learn these skills ourselves, if we can pass these on to our kids, then they develop that resilience to be able to address that stress and that anxiety and counter that depression during their adolescent years.
Right.
Because we all know middle school sucks.
Yeah.
We all know that high school can be extremely challenging.
See, but as an adult, I mean, I could go back and do high school. Like, I could be the boss in high school.
Oh, well,
right?
yeah. I mean, hello.
I would have fun.
How many decades have we spent in high school?
But yeah, so,
So, but my point is that you're right in pushing our children to address them, helping them to go, this is a better, you express yourself, but this may not be the best way to express your anger. This may not be the best way to, address your sadness, because the long-term impact allows your child, when we as parents can help our children regulate these emotions, especially at the earlier ages, studies have shown that kids will do better in school. They will have much healthier, stronger, longer lasting relationships, and they can be able to display greater empathy towards others.
Yep. I mean, when I'm happier in my life, it's a lot easier to deal with challenges that come up. It just is. If you're depressed, then another challenge comes along and you're just further in depression. But if you can find a way to be happy and to, overcome some of those things and live with some joy, I mean, challenges come up and they're not that big a deal.
Well,
for the most part.
Sure. Well,
obviously there's tragedies and things like that take place. But
yes,
but that has a whole different process.
Well, we have the ability to see it for what it is, have the courage to tackle it head on, the confidence that we can do so.
Yep.
Because we have a long history of, when I've been there, I've done that, I got the T-shirt to prove it. And so that's why I liked where this was taking me the more I explored this, because one of the things that we can do as parents is help our kids be able to label these emotions. Get them to say, well, I'm frustrated, I'm scared, I'm lonely.
Right.
Because now it gives them the ability to, by naming it, they can now control it.
Yes.
Because if they don't learn how to name it, then it can overtake them. And next thing you know, it's controlling them rather than the other way around, which is what you would want.
Which, is, I think that's evident in kids, teenagers, adults. Like, you ask somebody what's wrong and they're just like, I don't know. And it's just because there's something wrong and they can't identify it.
So
if they could identify it, then you can deal with it.
One of the things, and to go on with that, one of the things in all my counseling work and the company that I work for, we've got a big Dropbox of stuff.
Yeah.
And they've got, and I've seen it other places too, they've got an emotions chart. And I've even seen it as refrigerator magnets.
Right.
Where, it's a whole bunch of emotions and you just got a little red square and you just put one over how you're feeling that day.
Yeah.
I mean, these are ways that even if a kid can't explain it, you're going to go, well, which one of these faces best explains how you're feeling right now?
Sure. You go to the airport or a lot of places like a mall, and you go to the bathroom, and on your way out of the bathroom, it's got those emotions on the wall, and it's like, how did you feel about your experience in here today? Right? Like, was it good? Was it clean? That kind of thing. And they have little faces, and you just And you just tap one, and that lets them know maybe we need to go check out that bathroom because something's going on in there.
I must be going to the wrong bathroom.
It's I've seen it in a few places.
Okay.
Definitely airports.
Huh.
I think DFW has it. So it's, I mean, those are simple identifications, right? Because we've got these emojis.
Sure.
So those are simple identifications. And, that's something that at home I think is a decent idea. Especially if you have a lot of these issues where kids are struggling with it, or even you and your partner. I mean, let's just put a picture on it. It's the same thing. You go to a doctor and they're like, the pain scale, like, point to it. Where are you? I mean, that's the kind of thing that it's a diagnosis.
Well, exactly. And when you're older, when you've worked, back this up. Let me retrain this thought again here. I think using the pictures with littler kids is a great way to help them, so that by the time they get to be, 8, 9, 10, now they can maybe verbalize a little bit better.
Yeah.
And now we can, again, you're just simply identifying how you feel so that now we can better address, okay, how did you get here? And, okay, what would you like to do? Okay, is that the best way to handle how you're feeling?
Or even just, you pointed to that face that's, got a kind of a scrunch on it, like you're just not sure. You're kind of upset, but you're not quite to the anger stage yet. Like, okay, so then now describe, like, what does that mean? How does, what do you think's causing that? Give me some verbal descriptors of that. And we could work into maybe identifying the problem that way. So it's just a starting point. But
yes.
I think visuals are great, right? Like a lot of kids are visual.
I'm a visual.
So.
I mean, I also am kinesthetic. But anyway, when we can do this, we can also do a physical check. Okay, where are you feeling this emotion? Where are you feeling the anger? Where are you feeling the stress? Where are you feeling the depression?
Yeah.
Whether it's your stomach, your chest, your shoulders, your legs, we can do a physical body check. And because, again, you and I've read a few different books. I think one of the ones that we both have read that I use a lot is The Body Keeps Score.
Yeah.
And the idea that if you don't talk about it, you don't address it, your body's going to respond regardless. Your brain can say, what issue? I don't have an issue. And your body's going, yeah, good luck with that. You can say that in your mind, but the reality is, well, by helping your child not just verbalize it, but where do you feel it?
Right.
Can also then give them tools to be able to, okay,
right,
that's another clue to address or to be able to identify what's wrong.
Right.
Because, again, I'm a firm believer that if you can identify it, if you can label it, it makes it a lot easier. It makes it less scary and a lot easier to overcome. Mike.
Plus, you can talk about it.
Yeah.
Can't talk about it if I don't really know what it is, right? Until I talk through and figure out what it is, then how can I actually deal with it? So yeah, what are some other things that?
Well, so tying in before we go to more, because you're right, we got a few more. But one of the nice things that research has shown is that by helping our children be able to verbalize not only what their frustration or what their emotion is, and not by being able to identify where in the body is it letting them know, it actually helps encourage empathy.
Yeah.
And it helps provide a foundation for that child's emotional intelligence to allow them to grow and all of that. But when we can identify where in the body it is that is reacting this way, we can then target it with a variety of mindful techniques or mindfulness techniques. Breathing is one of the things that I have really come to use, and the one that I use most often now is called 4-7-8, where you breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and slowly exhale for 8. And I've been using that with my clients for several months now, and every single one of them, even the kids, go, you know what, it does help. It helps them slow down, helps them recenter, and it helps their logic brain overcome their emotional brain to be able to better think.
I mean, breathing has always been a technique for a thing. I mean, you see it in a lot of different, it's in yoga, it's in different exercises, right? And we know that your breathing rate changes your heart rate. Right. So if you slow down your breathing and you slow down your exhaling and you slow those things, then your heart rate changes. And so your anxiety level can go down and all that. So that just goes back to the body keeping the score, right? Like your mind controls your body. So if you can control your mind a little bit, you can, get that body under control and then think more rationally.
Well, exactly. And because every time I share this with my clients, that our logic brain run subservient to our emotional brain. That emotional brain is tied to the most basic, elemental survival instinct that was developed first in the brain. And that when it kicks into overdrive, our logic side just shuts down and it cannot communicate any way that we can learn. So so being able to teach them this, and by sharing with our children at earlier ages, that, okay, if breathing won't work, I use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you take your 5 senses. What is 5 things you can see? And you name them. All right, what are 4 things that you can smell? What are 3 things you can hear? What are 2 things that you can touch? What is 1 thing that you can, I forget, whatever the other sense is that I'm missing here. But basically, smell, thank you. But by doing so, again, just you're slowing.
Sure.
You're right. You're slowing that heart rate down, but you're teaching kids to basically, you're teaching them to calm down.
Yeah, I mean, it's a regulation, right? I mean, just look at social media and see how many people aren't regulated.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all these people are keyboard warriors that are just, they literally, there's probably something else going on in their life. And so they go to social media to take it out.
Oh, yeah.
Right, to get that frustration out.
Thank you.
And they don't care about who they're getting it out to. So, definitely if we could control that better. And I like that mindfulness technique. I like that breathing exercise. I think that's good. And I do a similar thing where I just calm down and I kind of retreat to a space that's for me, right? And that's kind of private. And then I just calmly, slowly just think it out. I mean, I've done that in my classroom before, just during a planning period, just close my door and, just calmly just breathe, think, right? Try to slow everything down a little bit. So, I mean, that's just a way to regulate.
And that is very important. And again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, just a little bit ago. We as parents need to be able to also model this. Don't just tell our kids, show our kids. And
so stop it isn't a great command.
Oh, it's a great command, but might want to follow it up with a why. And you demonstrate, and it is hard. Oh, God bless America. It is hard for me to do this. And I will admit that I am not perfect in this at all. But because again, my right side of my brain, that emotional fight or flight kicks in, but I don't think it holds as much sway for as long today as what it used to. Because I'll see it and it'll trigger a memory of, oh, don't be here. Don't do that. Don't say that. And then my logic brain kicks in and says, see, now this is what I want you to do. I want you to take a deep breath.
Right.
I want you to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with your senses. Okay. And most of the time I get to maybe 2, like on the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I get to 5 and to 4, and then, okay, I'm recentered. Thank you very much. Or the breathing, I may only need to go through a couple of cycles, and I'm refocused again.
I think one of the things to recognize as a parent, though, is that if your child is having a struggle with regulation and they're constantly ending up in anxiety or overwhelmed with something, like saying stop it or cut it out or you just need to deal with it is not going to work. And I think about it like this, like if your child is in a class, like algebra,
yeah,
right, and they don't really know how to do the problem, and the teacher just says, just do it. I mean, that's not going to work, right?
Yeah. There's
something they didn't learn. And so you need to back up and teach them the thing that they didn't learn. And so that they can deal with it. And this is true for adults too, right? Adults sometimes get out of regulation and cause things. That means that there's something they didn't learn, right? There's something more to do. I mean, that's why there's thousands of self-help books, which, don't always work.
True.
But because you need to have some mentor, somebody who's helping you along. So there's something that you need to learn, and you probably need to learn it from somebody else through a discussion with somebody else. And so the parents should do that.
Yes.
right? The parents should, rather than saying, cut it out, stop it, you just need to deal with it, it should be more of a, let's talk about what's happening and what's missing.
Yes. And I think that this is, there's many different ways that we can address this. I think that as one of the best ways is to kind of be able to write it.
Right.
I recently read a study where they were talking about our ability to handwrite versus type creates much stronger neural pathways. We can communicate better. We can remember and recall it better. So handwrite a journal. Now, you're going, but my kid's 5. They can't write. Perfect. They can color. Have them draw. Have them draw with crayons, markers, whatever.
Sure.
But, draw your emotion.
And I think that's important too, because you can, as a parent, you can give them a coloring book, and the thing that they choose out of that coloring book can probably tell you something about how they're feeling. And the colors they're using will tell you something about that as well. And I'm not a psychologist or anything by any means, but there's definitely some colors. I mean, that's why the angry face is so red, right? I mean, there's definitely some colors that associated with certain things that would do that. And I'm sure there's plenty of books to read on that, but that's important. I like this idea of journaling. I am super bad at it. I have not really done it. My wife does it all the time, and she has years of journals, and she can go back and read them and go, wow, I've made some real progress. And I just look at myself and go, I don't know. I guess I made progress. Like, I don't have any way to measure it because I never wrote anything down. And then you think about, like, historically, people like John Adams or whatever, like, they wrote everything down. And, I'm glad they did, because that's posterity now, but we get to read them. But, like, for my own life, I just don't have that. I kind of wish I had done that.
I did. When I was going through my divorce and my life was upside down and I was hit with one big emotion after another, after another, after another.
Right.
I wasn't seeing a therapist yet, and somebody had suggested in our divorce group to just journal, write it down, regurgitate it, put it on paper, get it out of your head.
Yeah.
And it worked fantastically. And I recommend that to some of my clients is, yes, journal. And again, you can get your kids to do it. You can even just start with a prompt. I mean, even a little kid, and go, okay, today I felt how? And here's a list of emotions.
Right.
Which one did you feel the most strong?
Yeah.
And okay, boom, now color. What does that feel like to you? And then if they're a little bit older, like 8, 9, 10, you could throw in, okay, today I felt blank because.
Right.
So now we're, working a little more. And then, of course, as they get into their teen years and all that, well, now you can just write it out.
Right.
Because, again, that allows you to release those emotions rather than bottle them up.
And I think it's important because as far as learning goes, learning about yourself in any learning environment, anything that you are learning, reflection is like one of the best things that you can do. And so that's why a lot of classes end with an exit ticket or something that has a reflection about what you learned. And if you write down what you learned, you will remember what you learned. And you can also go back and look at it later. And so, like I said, my wife looks back and she's like, wow, I thought I really struggled during that time, but like I was actually doing pretty well. And, those things now to me seem very small. And, so it helps her deal with the things that in the present. And I think that it's an excellent tool. I really should do it.
Well, I need to probably as well. But here's the thing. If we can help teach our children how to better regulate their emotions, are they going to have fewer meltdowns? Are they going to have fewer explosions? Yeah. Are they going to disappear entirely? Heavens no.
Yeah, but there's always going to be something that we couldn't deal with.
Sure. But it will reduce them, both in number as well as in frequent or intensity.
Yeah.
And you're giving them the ability to have tools that will benefit them through their entire lives.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, the more I explored this question, the more I was going, yes,
Yeah.
there are so many benefits. And I will say that my parents did a pretty darn good job.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. But I do find that I have a better understanding.
Yeah.
And one day I hope to be a grandparent and hopefully be able to share some of this information on with.
Well, fortunately, you're a counselor, so
That's true.
you get to share some of this with people, anyways, and help a lot more people than I would as a grandparent. So, but you'll get there. So
Yes.
But I think that of one big thing to take out of this, I think, is that journaling. I think that is a great place to start because it will allow that reflection, and then it can be looked back upon and see how much we have learned. And I think that's very encouraging for anybody to see that measure. And then, I was able to deal with that. How did I deal with that? Well, now I can apply that to this.
Okay,
And
true.
so
Yeah.
having kids do that will give them a tool that they can use in their adult life. So, yeah,
Perfect.
I mean, this is excellent. I think this is good stuff. I got to figure out how to fit journaling into my schedule.
Well, it's like so many things. If you make time for it, it'll happen.
Yeah.
But easier said than done.
So emotional regulation for kids. Yeah, definitely.
All right.
We got to work on it.
Well, then I guess we both have work to do. So until next time, my name is Rod.
I'm Scott.
See you later.
Bye-bye.